Hello, GBS family, and welcome to the Great Black Speakers Live. My name is Jessica A. Walker. I am your community support manager and digital host here with Great Black Speakers. We understand the power of our speaker's voice, and we wanted to create a platform, a digital stage, if you will, to showcase the value of our speakers. Great Black Speakers believes that every speaker has a story to tell and deserves a platform to share their story with the world. Today's speaker is Angelina Darrisaw. Angelina Darrisaw is an international business coach, a digital media strategist, and brand ambassador. She is the founder and CEO of the CSuite Coach, a breaking career coaching platform that provides accessible professional development resources to diverse millennial professionals. She collaborates with employers to create business solutions that empower, educate teams, and facilitates career workshops and experiences for working professional students. Angelina holds an MA from Wake Forest University and a certificate of coaching from the New York University. As a My Black is Beautiful and Pantene brand ambassador, Angelina was featured in national ads and in publications such as Oprah, Ebony, and Essence magazine. Her profiles have been shown and showcased in Huffington Post and BET.com. And she has hosted self-esteem workshops to inspire women and girls and young people across the country. Now, today within our interview, Angelina and I talk a bit about Blacks in diversity, Blacks in tech. We also talk a lot about coaching and why it's so important to understand your individual level of success. So go ahead, and I hope you enjoy this interview. If you'd like to book Angelina, please go ahead and visit greatspeakers.com. And while you're there, be sure to sign up for our newsletter. Check out and read our blog with all of our amazing speakers. Be sure to sign up and subscribe to our YouTube channel here for more greatness. I'll see you inside. Great Black Speakers, shaping one speech at a time. See you inside of the interview. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on the Great Black Speakers Spotlight. Today, we have a wonderful, wonderful, amazing speaker here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she's doing in technology, her speaking abilities, and also some of the things that she's looking to move into with the new year of 2017. So let's go ahead and welcome Angelina Darrisaw. How are you?
Good, thank you. Great to be here. Glad to join GBS.
Yes, we are in awe and amazed that you are just on our platform, and we are looking forward to all of the greatness you're going to bring to our platform, as well as our blog, as well as your speaking ability. So tell us a little bit about how you got started speaking. Let's start there, and we'll kind of go into a bit of what it is that you do.
In terms of how I got started speaking, I would say it's something that I've always cultivated and never shied away from an opportunity to step up and be in the spotlight. So starting with some panels all the way back from when I was in college to in my early career, taking on opportunities to speak to interns, to speak to other employees, and be an ambassador for my company really gave me that experience to be out there and in the forefront. And I have to kick it back if we're going to even go further beyond there. My mom made me be in the hospitality group at church. So I used to stand up and welcome the visitors when they came, and always was working on my notes to make sure I had the good verse and the good welcome for the visitors. And that even gave me an opportunity to not be shy and be out there and share a message, and also make sure that I was working on my craft as a speaker.
I love that. I love that. And it's so funny you brought that up, because I was thinking the other day where I'd had someone come to me and ask me to speak at an event. And I was thinking back to, like, when did I get started? And it's similar. It's funny. My mom gave me the greeting cards. Every Christmas, I was the one that went up and read the greeting cards that other churches sent to the church.
See, there's no opportunity too small to get your start.
Exactly, right? And that's for all of us that have children as well. You know, we should definitely be providing those opportunities to our children to get up there and, you know, instill that confidence in them. So that's great. That's wonderful. Also, thank your mom for that. All right. So why did you choose your current profession? And then tell us a little bit about your profession as well. I'll let you go ahead and introduce what you do.
Okay, awesome. So C-Suite Coach is a coaching platform, and our goal is to help companies engage and retain diverse millennial talent. How did I get started in this? Well, my background is in corporate strategy and digital business development, so a bit different than professional development and training. I was doing really innovative things, exciting things, working with technology companies, small startups, all the way to some of the big ones like Snapchat and Twitter and Tumblr, and helping them figure out how to partner with the brands that I was working in. And even as I was doing all this innovative technology stuff, I found that my office door was swinging open with not necessarily people asking me about Snapchat and Twitter or new media, but with young women, young people of color asking me, how was I navigating in my career? How is it that you're getting promoted? How is it that you're 25 and you have your own office and you're growing on this team? And I've been in my spot for 5 years. How are you making 6 figures at 25? I want to be there. I've been in the same place. I feel stagnant in my career and I'm having trouble navigating. And I realized organically at first that there was a need for more professional development and employee training to help different groups, particularly underrepresented and underserved groups, understand how they can navigate and really be successful in environments where a lot of times you're one of a few or even one of the only on a team at times. So where do you get the skill sets? Where do you get the resources to make sure that you're building and growing? And there were really a dearth of those. So I started creating my own while I was working full time, definitely going to colleges, universities, working with the employee resource groups at my company to provide training and ideas for how we could improve professional development. And as I began to do more research, and also because of the demands of my job, I realized that there was enough here to move into this full time. And there was really a need for this. If we want to see the way the C-suite looks today with very little representation of women, of people of color, of any underrepresented group, then we need to be training them now from a younger age while they're young professionals. And there needs to be more access to professional development if we want to see that change so that there's more diversity up at the top.
Love it. I love that idea. Now, you've also mentioned that you have a background in some technology as well. A little bit about your thoughts with Blacks in technology or millennials in technology. Would you like to go with that?
Yeah, I think there's 2 different ways to go with that. One, when you think about technology overall, you can think about it from the standpoint of creating your own technology and running with that. And that's part of what I did when I founded C-Suite Coach. I'll tell you a little about that. And then the other area is also just working in tech as a person of color, which there's huge diversity issues. Part of why I also am working with companies to make sure that they're providing the resources to make it an inclusive environment for the people that are there. There was a funny picture that was tweeted recently from Dropbox, and they did a great job covering it up, but they tweeted diversity at Dropbox, and it was a pretty monochromatic photo. So there was a lot of pushback on Twitter about, this is diversity, like we need more in technology, why are you doing this? Yeah. So I would say my first experiences, even though I was on the media side and working for big media companies, all my clients were small startups. They were all technology companies. And I was figuring out for my company, what is our strategy in making sure that we're leveraging these innovations that they're creating that can help us make more money. And that's ultimately what we want to do. So that was my first experience. And what I loved about that is even though I had all the resources of a big company and I was working with these small startups, I got the insight from having these constant interactions with these 25-year-old CEOs of what is it like to run your own company? What are the unique challenges you face when you're a young CEO and getting started and getting off the ground? And even though most of them were not Black and most of them did not look like me, it gave me a great deal of confidence because I realized that there were these other young people doing it. What is it that could be holding me back? So those are some of my early experiences and things I think about when it comes to being Black in tech. Definitely not a lot there, but it is growing. There's resources growing all the way from kindergarten and making sure that there are more people of color equipped to enter technology right now.
I love it. And we just had the Afrotech conference with Blavity not too long ago. I actually went there and I was there at the conference. And it was really, really nice to see just a sea of not only Black people, but then a sea of young Black people. So I'm a bit older on the spectrum. So, it was kind of some moments like, oh, okay, we're doing that in the conference. Okay. But it was really
Yes.
nice to see. Nonetheless, it was really nice to see and experience, all of these great minds coming together, and very little shade. I was loving it. I was just like, wow, it really gave me hope for the future, so to speak, and generations.
Yeah, those environments are so important. It's so great that we cultivate relationships with each other. I'm a part of a lot of different female founder groups. I know some people from Blavity who are just amazing and awesome. And I think anytime there's an opportunity to create a community, that just helps us share resources with each other and improve, again, what that landscape looks like in terms of creating more opportunities for more people of color.
Yeah, you're definitely right. You're so right. It just made me feel how old I was. I'm like,
You look great, Jessica.
That old? Am I that old? Like, but I was like,
my great grandma's on Facebook. You're fine.
Okay, I'm not using Facebook anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I always have the only people that follow me are my grandma and my mom, so it's all good. So moving on from that, speaking topics, some of the topics that you speak on, it sounds like you speak a lot about minorities as well as the other spectrum, which is technology and Blacks in technology. Give us some of your other speaking topics, and then tell us as well, who's your best audience? Who's the audience that you just love to speak to?
Okay, awesome. So one of my favorite topics is talking about how to articulate your business value. So one of the big challenges when it comes to getting out of that stagnant place, when you're feeling stagnant at work and maybe you've been in a position you feel for a little bit too long. Yeah. When I talk to a lot of young professionals, it's because they don't really know how to articulate what their contribution is to the company. So if you want to get out of that place and you want to progress in your career, you want to convince your manager that you need that promotion, the first thing that you really have to nail is articulating what is my contribution to this business and the bottom line, and how good am I at doing it? So I have a whole workshop that is a full day, but can be narrowed down to 3 hours that really hits on that. And it's really important to do that diligencing and understanding how am I contributing here, but also how am I making sure that I'm promoting my contributions and speaking about it and letting people know what I'm up to. When I'm in the elevator and I bump into a C-suite leader, how do I have that small talk with them where in a minute I can let them know how I'm affecting the bottom line? So that's one of the things that I love to talk about. My ideal audience would be a young professional, a group that's at a big company that they're looking to move forward in their careers. They're ambitious, they're hungry, and maybe they feel like they haven't had enough resources and they need some of that knowledge to take their career to the next level.
Hey, I love it. I love the fact that you give so much confidence as well. You're instilling that in others, as well as, just anyone in a working situation where they can really take what they have and own it. I think that's a big issue that a lot of us run into, is tooting our own horn, right? And owning the fact that, I've done such and such and such, and I should really tell everyone about it. And then, like you said, conveying that message in the proper way. So that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And, you hit on something else, Jessica, that I would speak to really quickly. And that is when it comes to that difficulty in tooting your own horn, especially from underrepresented groups, what happens is a lot of time is you're in an isolated environment. You might be one of the only, and you may also have some unique history or backstory that you might carry some shame about. And I can definitely relate to that, coming from where I grew up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, different kind of upbringing than a lot of my peers had when I was in my early career at ESPN and Viacom. There's some things that you might carry, and it's important to figure out how to tackle that, how to conquer your story and be able to share what's unique about you and understand that you still have worth and value, even if your story looks really different than the people sitting across from you at your office table.
Definitely. Oh, I love that. So I think that's a great segue question, actually. What are some of the hurdles you have to overcome to get to where you are today?
Wow. So I've been very, very blessed in having resources poured into me by my mom, who was a single parent, but so good at her job. It could have felt like I had 4 or 5 parents at certain times. And, you know, I think it's important to be cognizant that there are 2 stories there. On one hand, there are some of the disadvantages of growing up with a single teenage parent that are you just can't overlook. It's just part of what makes life what it is. But on the other hand, there are great privileges in having someone with the personality and the hustle and the ambition that my mother had. So it is a hurdle and a blessing all wrapped in one, and some of the things that we had to overcome. But really, really grateful for what she instilled in me, and that we did overcome that hurdle. And the fact that my mom was adamant about making sure I pursued my education. Sometimes she was a drill sergeant. I have all these memories of being sick and wanting to stay home from school. And my mom saying, it is my legal responsibility by the city of New York to make sure that you're in class. But, you know, that kind of principle, that attitude that she had carried all the way throughout my career, to the point where in my early 20s, when I wanted bags and shoes, my mom was buying me sessions with executive coaches. Wow. So in terms of understanding how to navigate in a corporate environment, I was taught to really pour my resources, the limited resources that I did have, into professional development, training, and opportunities, and working with coaches. And that's part of why working as a coach is so important to me, and why I value it so much, because I saw how it transformed my socioeconomic status. In my first role at ESPN, coming out with my master's degree, I was making less than $40,000, which is really humbling. You know, you feel like you graduate with a master's, I've invested all this in my education, coming back to live in New York, paying triple what I was paying in rent when I lived in North Carolina, and finding a way to make it work. But in just 3 years, I was able to triple my salary. And that was from pouring all my resources into professional development and really understanding how to really navigate the setting that I was in, which was not like the neighborhood I grew up in. Nothing in, you know, the C-suite of ESPN or Viacom looked anything like my neighborhood in Bed-Stuy when I was growing up. But I found a way to be comfortable. I found a way to be successful. And that came from really cultivating myself, knowing my values, and really developing that confidence through the work with coaches.
Well, I can tell you that if you don't feel like running after just listening to you right now, I don't know what'll get you to start running. Just make you want to just, woo, like, go girl, love it.
Yeah.
I think that you mentioned personal development, and I had a question there. What do you define, or let me rephrase that. Define personal development. What does that mean to you, and why is it so important?
It is pouring resources into yourself. It is reflection. It is remaining coachable and understanding that you are forever a student. One of my favorite things to say when I'm speaking to young professionals or any professional audience, I've also spoken to audiences of women, sometimes double and triple my age, boomers, and we talk about navigating leadership across generations. Yeah. One of the things that is really important is, no matter how old you are, no matter how much experience you have, and no matter how little experience you have, it's a mindset of being a student of the business. And not just a student of the business, but a student of life, and understanding that there's always more to learn. There's always new skills to cultivate. I mentioned earlier, my great grandmother's on Facebook. She didn't say, oh, I'm old, I'm retired, I'm going to not learn the new stuff and just stick with what I know. She adapts. And I think for me, when I think about it, there's nothing that you can't learn if you're willing to learn. And that's what personal development really is about.
I love it. I absolutely love that. So it's basically all about, like you said, pouring your resources into someone else or something else that then comes back to you and helps you grow.
Yes.
Enables you to grow and enables you to learn more. I love the fact that you've pinpointed down too that we're always a student. I think especially as speakers, we get to a certain level in the speaking game where we feel like we no longer have anything else to learn, like we know everything. I think that, you know, I'm so happy that you touched on that, because we're never at that point. There's always something new to learn. And I have a saying that I say a lot with a lot of my clients as well. is that everyone knows something, but not everyone knows everything. But
Yeah.
everyone has something in them that they have to give to someone else that can possibly enable them or help them in a certain way. So that's great. I love that. So we talked about some of the hurdles that you had to go through, but what's some of the advice that you would give people wishing to follow in your footsteps? What's your advice piece that you'd have there?
Cultivate the process of knowing yourself. Self-discovery is so important to making sure that you're leading a life that's on purpose, that you're making decisions that are really truly to make sure that you're fulfilled in everything that you do. So that's another key piece of personal development, is what the roadmap looks like for me may not necessarily be the same roadmap for you, Jessica. We may have a completely different process that we need to go to understand what makes us feel happy, fulfilled, and successful. But it's really about taking that time to invest in myself, taking that time to do reflection on what are my values, what are my priorities, and what are my passions. And that's a journey that's ongoing and will never stop. So really, the biggest advice I have is understand that it is your individual journey, and it is a journey that you have to keep investing in, but it is your journey individually.
I love it. Individual success. Right? It's all defined by you, defined and set up by you. So what things are important to you in life?
You know, one of the biggest things that's important to me in life, you kind of hit on earlier when you talked about your own personal philosophy, like everyone has something to offer. That's something that's always guided my life, even growing up, as I mentioned, with my young mom in Bed-Stuy. And I think that comes down to being a young person and in our community, giving to the church scholarship, giving to the collection plate for the preacher after he finished preaching. That idea of giving back, even when you don't have a lot, is something that was really a big focus for my family, is that we always have something to offer. And I think that there's something so rich about that when it comes to identifying your self-worth. If you have that mindset that no matter how little you have something to offer, whether that's financially or whether that's sharing your intellectual property, whatever the case might be, then there's something about you that is worthy. And that's such a great way to live. So I would say that it really boils down to philanthropy as one of my biggest priorities, one of the biggest things that I value for various reasons, because I don't think that I should be an anomaly, for instance, in being able to transform my socioeconomic status from having grown in a corporate career. And I know that that is because resources have been poured into me through nonprofits, through other opportunities, and I want more people to have access to the resources. So I seek to create that when I can.
Love it. So we talked a bit about before we got about your Uber experience.
Yes.
Tell the people and tell the audience a bit about the Uber experience and how you won and took over.
So that is from when we talked earlier about, as a speaker, always being willing to try new things and learn. I had done several pitch competitions, and I had been a finalist of hundreds of applicants 2 different times, with a venture capital pitch competition, and also one that was an international pitch competition right in Harlem. And while I was a finalist in those 2 competitions, I didn't win, but I stayed hungry, I stayed humble, and I stayed willing to learn and receive feedback. So I get an email from one of my friends. They're like, you should check this out. Uber's doing this really innovative thing where you can get an Uber pool ride and pitch a top VC investor. And many of them were some of the early investors in Uber. So I saw in the app that the rides were all over 5 boroughs, and I was in Harlem in my workspace. And I was like, oh, I'll just order one from Harlem. So I said, it was only available for 3 hours. I spent the first 2 hours trying to order Uber in Harlem. Nothing comes. Yeah. And I'm sitting there talking to Kalia, who works with me, and we are like, should I go downtown? Should I, you're an entrepreneur. Every minute you have is valuable. Is this worth the investment? I've already dedicated 2 hours to just trying to request an Uber. I should move on to other work that's going to make me some money.
Exactly.
And we just, she was like, go downtown, we'll request an Uber. So both she and I are requesting while I'm on the train all the way downtown. Before I even get off the train, a Uber is 5 minutes away. So I get out, gather my thoughts, have my pitch ready. And I had 7 minutes to pitch an investor. The investor that I had was Charlie O'Donnell from Brooklyn Bridge Ventures. He's amazing. And he got it. I was really lucky. He understood coaching right away. And I guess I impressed him because I was one of the final 3 that got to go to a live pitch at night in front of other top investors and in front of a huge audience. So I did that. I, again, worked, had my pitch deck ready, always be ready so you don't have to get ready. I had my pitch deck ready because I had pitched before. And did my pitch live in front of everyone, answer the questions in front of the panel judges, and I walked away as the winner of $5,000 that I could pour into my business. So that was really a great opportunity. We talked about Blacks in technology earlier. One of the key parts of my business is when I started my coaching business, it was an app to connect coaches to diverse millennial professionals. So I got to talk about that experience and the growth and the changes, why I picked an app, why it was so critical to make sure that coaching was available to be delivered mobile first for this audience to make it more accessible. And I got to share all of those things in the pitch competition, landed a spot in Business Insider. That was awesome. And showed more about my business. So I was happy. They got it. They understand diverse millennial professionals need more resources.
She's like, they got it.
They got it.
They got it from you. That's what they got it from. They got it from you. And I think that I want to talk this really quickly because I see Great Black Speakers as a platform to not only provide speakers the opportunity to spread their message, but to also empower a lot of, I'm going to use the word, but I'm going to use it loosely, speakers, people that want to be on a platform, that want to build their own platform, that want to start speaking, but just haven't gotten to that level as a so these videos are really truthfully for all of our speakers at any level. So I definitely want to take you, and I want to use as an example and say that everyone here has a reason why you're here. I always say that there's a purpose, right? We all have a purpose. Why we beat out the gazillion other, I'm trying to look for a different word to say, but specimens that could have broken to be born, to be here, right? So you have a purpose here. You have a reason as to why you're here. Now it's up to you to show up and define what that is and to really live out that purpose. And I think for Angelina, she's definitely put herself out there. And I think that, 5,000, or what was it, 5,000 or was it 10,000? 5,000, right? $5,000. Yeah, $5,000 is a great way to return that ROI on 2 hours of work, right? Plus all of the accolades and of course all of the other promotions and things that affected the marketing that she got from that was probably well worth 5,000. Okay, so absolutely, definitely worth the time and the investment to just step out of your comfort zone sometimes and bring and attract things especially meant just for you. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I took the time out to say, look at Angelina as an example of doing that out of your comfort zone and saying, you know what, I know this sounds crazy and it sounds like really audacious and it sounds like something that'll never happen, but I'm just going to do it anyway and see what happens. Stepping out on that faith always returns. Yes, always returns. So let's continue with, we have like 2 or 3 more questions here. So we talked about what things in your life are important. Some of the things that you have going on. I hear that you're doing a TED Talk coming up in February. So please tell us about that. What else is keeping you busy? What are you working on right now?
I'm very excited. Coming up February 11th, I'll be doing my first TEDx talk at Deer Park in Long Island. And as we talk about speaking, I've been watching tons of TED Talks, getting excited for mine. Yeah. But as much as I love to study the craft of speaking, and I think it is important to study the craft, one thing I would say to any speaker watching is always make sure that as you're learning, as you're watching, definitely adapt what works for you, but you have to remain authentic to yourself, right? So if you know that speaking with a PowerPoint isn't your style, if you know that comedy while you're speaking isn't your style, don't feel like you have to adapt that because someone else did it really, really well, or that you have to, freestyle because someone else freestyled, whatever the case might be. What worked for that person doesn't necessarily work for you. So I work hard on making sure that I have my individual style. I work at it, and I'm excited to bring that to the TED stage and share my story and my style with the audience that's going to be there watching. It's almost sold out. There's just 15 tickets left. So really looking forward to that.
Awesome. Awesome. I hear a book coming on. I think I smell a book, individual style.
There's not a book deal yet.
I think I smell a book.
But I am an active writer, and there's definitely a very filled out outline and lots of pages written. So the book deal, when that drops, I'll announce that.
Awesome. Well,
a lot of writing happening here.
Yeah, just make sure you credit me, individual style. All right, so moving on from that, let's see. Where can our readers find more about you and connect with you? Tell us a little bit about where we can find you, and then any other jewels you want to drop or any other last thoughts you want to drop as well. Feel free to go ahead. This is your stage. Leave us with that.
Awesome. So you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever you want, at Lena Darrisaw, Darrisaw, or check out my website, angelinadarrisaw.com. Both there as well as on the Huffington Post, now on GBS and a few other publications. I write about diversity in business. I write about professional development, pathways to establish your success, pathways and resources for making sure you are doing the things that you need to do to move forward in your career. So I definitely encourage you to check out some of my writing. I also encourage you to check out www.thecsuitecoach.com to learn more about my business and also see more resources that are available for free for professional development for young, diverse millennial professionals.
Awesome. I love it. So thank you so much, Angelina. This has been truly, truly great. You guys go ahead and check out Angelina's blog on speakers.com. Also go ahead and leave us a comment down below this video. Let us know what you learned from Angelina. If there's any questions you may have as well, free to book Angelina at greatmarkspeakers.com as well. Thank you so much, Angelina. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Jessica. It's been great talking to you, and I look forward to speaking with more of you soon.
Yes. All right. Have a great day, and we will see you soon on the Great Black Speaker Spotlight. Bye.
Thank you.